Alright. Welcome back to Kamen Rider Review, episode 111. Yes, 111 for this particular review series. Yep. Now, we're still on Kamen Rider Black RX, which we're here discussing episode 3 through 6 of the series. Now, if you've watched, if anybody's ever seen Mass Rider and you see this at the see Mass Rider, you see, oh, that's where they got it from. Yeah, it's similar feeling with the 90s Sentai, the ones that were adapted for Power Rangers. Like, oh, that's where they got it from. Yeah, it's like the Power Rangers as well, where you see Sentai after the ones that are adapted for Power Rangers, you see at the Sentai where they get it from. Like, oh, that's where they get it from. Okay. So in the case of episode 3, we see the counterpart to the Plague Patrol make its debut. Yep, in this one episode. Yep, episode 3 for the series. Just me. Yeah, 3 is quite interesting because 3 we see a character by the name. He's one of Basuken's monsters, the first one he has in the series. And his name is the Knight of the Wind. It is Genahasaken. Yeah. Now, he was the first monster to get American counterpart. Who is American Power Counterpart Mask? Why, it's a frickin' Plague Patrol, of course. Well, with a Plague Sentry. Yep. And like in the case of his counterpart here in Black RX, he works by his counterpart in Power and of course Mass Rider, Double Face. So let's keep that common. And of course, the plot of this one is that these kids are taken, and of course we also have where Rico and of course Kento are taken to this world in order the way to get rid of them, because of course basically they create all this massive wind and like, oh, you're the cause of it. Yep. And they send to the demon world. And if you see Mass Rider and you see this, we're like, wait, was this Idenoi in Mass Rider? Why, yes, it was. As a matter of fact, this planet was actually used. This world was actually used as the counterpart to Idenoi. This professor from the Christ University is probably Black RX's version of the King of Idenoi himself, the old man, who in that series was Count Dranken's father. Yep. So, and of course, we're saved by them. Of course, you have the gas mask, which is something that was actually seen in Mass Rider. The whole thing is apparently that the environment, even though is toxic, so they wore this gas mask. And of course, the professor who he was banished from the court of the Emperor Crisis, which this is the first time Emperor Crisis has been mentioned in the series. As far as I can tell, he probably doesn't get mentioned again, but at least this is the first time we heard about somebody, this Emperor Crisis, the one who's in charge of the Crisis Empire. Not General Jark, Emperor Crisis. Who the heck he is not explained toward the end of the series. So, what else happens here? Well, he gives him a floppy disk. Okay. 1 second here. Sorry about that. I asked my dad to get me something and he got it for me. So, there's that. So yeah, they give him a floppy disk. Now, if you're curious, how the heck do I know what a floppy disk is? Number one, I first heard about these when I was a kid. And this is a different... Now, there's, like, if you're really curious, there are 2 different versions of a floppy disk. The one they see here is a much more thicker version ones. Sometimes some ones I've seen. Some ones, basically, if you're curious of what the heck a floppy disk is, because most people use digital stuff or CDs mostly. A floppy disk is this piece of plastic you shove into a computer. and it contains data on it. It's similar. Here's the thing. You can think of it as a prototype for the USB drives. That's literally what these things were. They contain data, and you have to put them in a computer, usually like a password or whatever. But this usually is like, I've seen, there's the big ones, the big black thin ones, which has some film on it, and then there's the thick ones. We have this one here. This is made of, I think, more durable plastic than we see than the very thick black ones. Now, in case you're curious, you might be asking, have you seen one where it's not blue? Yes, I have seen this size for being black. There's also been yellow ones I've seen. And I believe there's also been green. I think that's it. So, what is on this disc? Blueprints to build a car. Not any car. The Road Ran. If you watch Masked Rider, that's Masked Rider's car. What is the name of that car? Let's see if I can find it here. The name of the car is the Road Ran. And yeah, and it can we'll get to it. So, if you're curious, what is the name of the counterpart in Masked Rider? Magno. Yep. That's literally what this car is called there. Now, it is given to him when he escapes Demon World. Now, Demon World looked like it was a normal planet. Now, I think of Demon World like, oh crap, is this the home planet? Is this the home world of demons? No, not necessarily. Like, normally there is some gross, ugly creature. Like, that's what we think of Demon World. Is that. This is something else. It seems like a normal planet who we call Demon World, and they got advanced by the Christ Empire, and then the planet got basically turned into a wasteland by Emperor Crisis. And this Vesser basically disagreed with the Emperor doing the same thing to Earth, so he got banished. And him and his comrades are killed off here, which, yeah, his counterpart show up a lot more in this one episode. As a matter of fact, his counterpart, King of Illinois, will show up for several episodes of Masked Rider. And then the very next episode, he builds the damn car. Yep, like, didn't wait too long. Oh no, we waited until the very next episode. So, now, one of the first monsters introduced in Masked Rider, in Kamen Rider Black RX, is Cubicon, who's known as Labatron in Masked Rider, who was in the episode License to Throw, which was not the first episode of the series. No, that's actually the third. Now, in the case of this one, next one, Gigadon, he also has a counterpart too, named Beetletron. If you're curious when the heck he shows in the series, no information basically went down, but he is in the series. Most of what he sent out by Count Dragon. Now I'm curious, who sent out this one? This was Gatestone's monster. This was his second monster seen in the series. His next monsters would not be seen until not for quite a while. So the whole thing is basically because they found out he built this car. The car is completed, but it's not activated just yet. So Cutthroat comes to the ingenious idea of moving the car to Whale Mutant's cave. Yes, the very cave that was last seen toward the end of Black. And the cave is used to give Roadrun life. And when it speaks later on, it has a male voice. in Masked Rider, it has a female voice. Not sure why they changed that for. Probably because they want to have a male and female dynamic. Of course, we also hear a Cyclotron, basically Battlehopper's new form, speaks normal. He's basically a cocky guy in Masked Rider. So he caused a lot of damage. Eventually, the robot was destroyed thanks to a sword. Excuse me. You might be asking, does Masked Rider use his very sword in the series? In the '90s show. Yep, he does. What's going on for using? I think they call it the Rider Sword in Masked Rider. Here is basically the Robert Clone, I believe it's called. So he summons it the same way Masked Rider does from his belt. Like it just materializes from it and just it seems like he pulls right out of himself, like right through his Kingstone. So eventually the robot is destroyed, and by the way, at the start of episode 3, Gate Zone and Melboron are punished. Yes. How should I put this? In Masked Rider, they had an energy drain. Here, they just simply whipped. Yep. And the whole thing with the Gigatron, that was episode 4. In episode 5, this was quite interesting because I remember the Masked Rider episode, this one. Because Masked Rider did have the same kind of scenario. Where this one, in Masked Rider, you had the father and his adopted son go hiking this cave. Here is basically the kid, his 2 friends, Rico, and Professor go to a cave where his son past the mutant here, who created larvae, and of course they get infected. Though in Masked Rider, there's only 2 people get infected. This one's like 5 people got infected. And you watch, if you've seen the episode of Masked Rider, it's like the same exact scene, except the dialogue is different, but it just reminded me so much of that scene. Like, using, in case you're curious though, was Rodvar, his counterpart, Magma, was that used in the same episode? Yep. Yes, it was, because they gotta follow the footage very well. So, now in the case of the anti-venom, now mostly put in that one, it's like he picks it up and drives it out there. Here they transfer a helicopter, and then the helicopter gets destroyed. Then summons the car, fights a couple times, then they cure him. Now in the case, the original one is basically just walk in there, and of course, I should also put something interesting about between the difference between Big RX and Masked Rider. Is that in Masked Rider, they knew X2 was Masked Rider from the start. Here, they don't. They do not know he's Masked Rider at all. They do not know he's Black RX. So, everybody's cured, and then the very next episode of the series, episode number 6, is, well, this one does also feature characters who are also featured in Power Rangers as well. The Cobots. We have the Coltons, basically 3 brothers who knows Cogwarts and Power Rangers. If you're really curious, the Cogwarts show up in A Friend in Need. Yep, this was another monster that did show up there too. Yep, I think it was the second monster introduced. Yeah, and there's a blue rinky, and a green and orange. There's a few of these things. Mostly put, this monster is basically Gilderon's monster. You know, the guy who jumps around a lot. Yeah, basically you got 3 monsters for the start, and he has currently 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. He has 14 monsters left. Yep. In the case of Bosagon, he has 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Only about 8 monsters for him. For Gate Zone, it is 1, 2, 7, 8, 9, 10, 13. He has 14 monsters. As for Most Bunch, he's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So The one that's got the most currently right now is Gilderon. He has a lot of monsters, and I do mean a lot. So, the one basically who could finish I mean, it's up in the air who we finished it before episode 30. Who knows? Yep. But, yeah. That's particular review. Next up is going to be 2 Comic Corners. And then it's going to be on to Bleach. And yes, I did check. It did come out this week. Okay? Next video. Bye.